Okay, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on some of the movement that we do in A Hat in Time that we use pretty much everywhere, as well as some tricks that are a little bit more niche that we only really use in 1 or 2 spots but help tremendously throughout some levels. So the first movement tech that I'm going to cover is the most essential. You'll be using it in pretty much every single level. Thankfully, it is also the easiest movement tech out of the bunch. You've probably even done it in your casual playthroughs. It is called a dive boost. You simply dive, and then when her belly hits the floor, you press dive again. And then she does a little boost. You can also do this by pressing jump instead, but you get less speed if you hit jump instead of dive. So you want to get used to just using the dive button to dive boost as much as possible. A bit more advanced section for dive boosting is when you dive boost out of a slide or while you dive boost on a slanted slope. This will keep a lot more speed 2D and you'll go a lot further than just doing a regular dive boost. So this next piece of movement tech I will cover is called an SCJ or a sprint double jump. While you're running, you're going to want to let go of sprint and then press jump about 1 to 2 frames later. The timing can be a little bit awkward, but once you get it in your muscle memory, it's pretty easy. So this is useful in such cases where there's something that's a little too far away. You can do an SCJ, as well as some regular jumps and dives to get a little bit further than you regularly would. So this next piece of movement tech I will cover is called a DSJ. This is slightly harder than an SDJ, but it is faster in some situations. This is simply just doing a sprint jump as you're going off an edge. So once you go off an edge, you get coyote time. If you can see in the top left, once I run off this edge, I get a little bit of coyote time. What a DSJ is practically sprinting off an edge, and then once you enter coyote time, you're going to want to sprint jump, and in that time you're able to input a second sprint jump. So they are quite difficult, but you can tell you get it when you see her do the sprint jump twice. She has 2 clouds of dust there. So this is good in situations where you're trying to get to a platform that's not that far away. You can DSJ towards it. A DSJ does not go as far as an SCJ would, but they are certainly faster. To practice this, you can go to pretty much any rift and practice on any of these platforms. All of them work. Don't feel discouraged if you can't do it immediately. This movement tech is pretty difficult. The next of the movement tech I'll cover is called a TSJ. It is by far the hardest sprint hat trick that we have. They are not necessary to complete your any percent runs. They always have workarounds. We only use them to get that slight edge to get to our locations just a little bit faster, most notably to get into the village rift, as well as passing the finale gate to enter the telescope instead of pressing those 3 buttons. So to do these, I would only practice them once you figure out DSJs, because they're essentially the same thing, but in between the 2 jump presses, you want to let go of sprint. And you can hear her do an audio cue when you get it right. And once you hear that, you can do your other movement. You can double jump, you can dive, you can do what you normally would in the air. So for village, we do one right here to get up to the rift slightly faster. The next of the hat tricks I'll show is called a ice hat slingshot. We of course use the ice hat to do this. All you need is some slanted ground underneath you. I like using this roof because it is quite a good slope, and we do this in the any percent run. You're going to want to use your ice hat to slide down the roof, and then once you hit the edge of the slope, you're going to want to let go of your ice hat and then input a jump, like so. And you can tell that you did it right if you're able to input another jump after you leave. So just do another jump there. If you do it too late, she'll just do the double jump immediately. And if you let go of ice hat too late, same thing. She'll just input a double jump. So it is quite the balance of letting go of ice hat right on the edge and then inputting a jump shortly after. About a couple frames. maybe 2 to 3 frames after. It's quite difficult, but once you get the hang of it, it'll become quite easy for you. So to pause clip, you're going to want to ledge grab something that is close to a wall. You don't want to be too close or else you won't actually clip all the way through to it. You're going to want to vault and then pause and then hold your direction and just unpause. And keep holding your direction. In some instances, some walls might be too thick to actually get through, just like that. Or there might be a little too far away. So you're going to do the same thing. Vault, pause, hold your direction. And then you're going to unpause and then hold hat wheel. And this will give you a little bit further in that direction that you're holding to make some clips possible through thicker walls like in Yakuza or walls that are a little too far away. So another way you can clip in this game is called a boop clip. This has been around since Yakuza. You're going to want to be playing on DLC 2 with mods as this is currently patched on current patch. So you'll have to make sure you went through that setup. So essentially what you want to do is if you want to clip through, say, this wall here, you're going to want to be able to ledge grab something above it and fall towards it. So we do this at the beginning of the any % run to get to lab. You're going to want to boop just before you ledge grab. And she'll fall down, and she's in that ledge grab animation, and then you simply just hold forward and then jump, and you'll vault right through. So this next trick I'm going to show is called the Brewer pause clip. It is quite niche and quite difficult. This version of Brewer pause clipping is only used in Down with the Mafia, so don't feel too bad if you can't get it. There's other methods to get through this level that aren't too slow, but this is just the fastest method to get to the vent. So essentially what we're going to want to do is we need to initially ledge grab something. So I ledge grab this railing since we're trying to get through this wall that has that painting on it. So what we're going to want to do is charge our brewer and jump towards these slot machines. And when you jump towards the slot machines, I try to aim for the middle, slightly left of the middle. You don't want to be too far right or too far left. Once you get close to the slot machines, you're going to want to let go of your brewer and then pause, like basically right as you get to the ledge of the slot machine. And then once you hold jump, don't let go of jump. So I let go of my brewer and I just started ledge grabbing and I paused the game. So what I'm going to do, I'm still holding jump. I'm going to transition to up left instead of just up. And then I'm going to unpause. And once I unpause, she's going to clip through the wall. And then once you clip through the wall, you're going to want to dive. And dive cancel onto the wall that's out of bounds. Like so. So I'll show that in full speed now. And that's how you do the Down with the Mafia Brewer pause clipping. So the next thing I'm going to show is a different way to get out of Down with the Mafia. This is using a Brump or a Brewer jump. What you're going to want to do is initially ledge grab something before you do your attempt. And each failed attempt you need to ledge grab again. So if you fail your attempt, make sure you do another normal ledge grab. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to jump towards this stack of plates here. And you're going to let go of your brewer just before you hit the ledge. And then as you hit the ledge and start to ledge grab it, you're going to input a double jump. The timing is quite weird with them, so just try to follow the input display. So this next movement tech I'm going to show is called a ladder jump or a lump. What you're going to want to have is the DLC 2 with mods patch, so you'll have to follow that setup guide in order to do this while playing on that patch. So to do this trick, you're going to want to be able to charge your brewer, hold your hat wheel, and get to your emote wheel all at the same time comfortably. So make sure your configuration is set to where you can press those 3 buttons in a comfortable manner. So what you're going to want to do is charge your brewer as you walk towards the ladder. And then as you walk towards the ladder, you're going to want to open your hat wheel and then your emote wheel. And then you're going to want to hover the boop emote. And some people have different visual cues, but what I look for is once I can see the bottom of her right foot, you're going to want to let go of your emote wheel by just letting go of the button itself. And that will cause you to boop. And then a couple frames after that, you let go of the hat wheel. So I'll show that off. Like that. And you'll go flying upwards. I'll show it one more time. See the bottom of her right foot. I let go of my emote wheel, and then I let go of my hat wheel. Some ways this can go wrong is if you let go of your hat wheel first. She'll just change hats and go on the ladder as normal. Another way this can go wrong is if you let go of your hat wheel too fast. You'll boop backwards, and she doesn't get any height. That essentially just means you let go of your hat wheel too fast, and you want to wait a couple more frames. Like so. It is worth mentioning that there's some lumps that do have stricter timings, like this one in well. I basically use the exact same visual cue, but I wait until her foot is straight up and down. Another concept we use in Hat to get around faster is called Stuckwarps. This is essentially where the game believes Hat Kid to be stuck in a location, so it will warp her back to where it last believed she was safe. We tend to do this a lot in Humpty here because it lets us get around to the next faucets quite fast. So we actually perform one right here. So what's actually happening here is when we run up the faucet, Hat Kid is going to hit the lava and she's going to bounce up. And we position Hat Kid so she's under this floor here. And then we let go of all our controls so she's bouncing straight up, and the game believes her to be actually stuck on the platform. So I let go of all my controls and it believes she's stuck, so it warps her back up to her last safe location, which happens to be up here. The concept that we're abusing for Stuckwarps is the safe spot mechanic. Whenever Hat Kid is on a platform, your safe spot updates with the game saying this spot is safe for Hat Kid to return to, but there's quite a few things that don't actually update your safe spot, such as trees that are bigger. These bigger trees don't update it. As you can see, it's not changing, but these smaller ones actually do update it. So you can see now it's changing. As well as breakables, they don't update it. So these breakable barrels don't update it. As well as faucets, they don't update it. So I can perform a stuck warp here, and I'll warp back to where it last believed her to be safe at. There's a couple other miscellaneous things that we do within the run, such as Boopscopes. So as long as you're on DLC 2 with mods and you can perform boop clips, you can perform Boopscopes. The concept behind this is essentially interacting with a door, and when your camera pans over to the telescope, you do the boop emote, which lets you gain control of Hat Kid earlier, which lets you run towards the telescope earlier. And I'll be covering in a separate video all the hub movements and the different Boopscope directions to move when you're doing these Boopscopes. So I'm already halfway down the tunnel at this point. One of the last few miscellaneous pieces of tech I want to talk about is not actually used in the 80% run by top runners anymore, but it is quite useful in certain situations to do a backup, or if you're just not comfortable with a certain pause clip. This is called a Turnip, which is essentially running towards a ledge, and just before you hit the ledge, you turn the other direction, which makes Hat Kid do this weird turnaround animation, which actually causes you to ledge grab on an angle. What this essentially lets you do is ledge grab on a weird angle, and once you ledge grab on a weird angle, you can perform a vault, which will clip you into a wall, either completely or slightly into these thicker walls, such as the one in lab, which lets you perform the zip here in lab. One of the last things to remember is that we combine a lot of these movement techs together. That is where a lot of the skill comes in this game, is combining things together, such as your boop clips into your pause clips to get through walls, and combining all the different kinds of movement together to get through the levels as fast as possible. And that really covers a lot of the basics that we do in Hat. Feel free to ask in the Discord any questions that you might have, and I really hope this video was helpful for you.